Welcome to AC Council's Cybersecurity Podcast, where we speak to leaders that are not just making headlines, but are actually shaping the future of the cybersecurity industry. My guest today understands completely what it means to be operational resilient, to have a 24 by 7 operation that doesn't have any downtime. Because a downtime is not just costly, it will be a national disaster. Meet Gaurav Sharma, the CIO of one of the most eminent ports in Malaysia, a shipping captain for more than a decade himself. He transitioned directly from the front lines to the C suite as a CIO, running one of the most important critical national infrastructure organization in Malaysia. Gaurav, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sanjay. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. Gaurav, I wanted to start by talking about you personally.
Yeah.
You were a shipping captain for more than a decade, and now you're a CIO actually running the operations, the technology operations. What are the similarities in being in the front lines as a captain of a commercial shipping line and being in the front lines running technology of the port?
Thanks, Sanjay. Interesting question. And my journey has been equally interesting. For last 31 years, I've been working. So, when I was a ship captain, after 11 years of sailing, I really wanted to kind of expand my horizon, see what's possible. What else could I be adding value to within the business and the corporate world? And that's when this opportunity did come across, where I said there was something in the IT still related to shipping and maritime, which I wanted to explore. And I jumped right into it. And it's been 21 years since I have been doing that over time. Having said that, I think what it really brings to anybody, not just me, any person who does strategic IT cybersecurity, to understand the day to day running of the business, understanding the other side of the coin, how things are, you get a better grasp of things and you understand the business way better and you can give better solutions overall.
So you have been on the deep end. How deep is deep sea, and how dangerous is dangerous? Tell us one of the most, I would say, dangerous moments you have faced as a shipping captain.
So, as a high sea sailor, on merchant ships doing global trade across countries, you are literally on water most of the time, crossing the Atlantic Ocean for 20 days and 20 nights, from let's say Africa to the far end of US. And in the middle, it can be scary because once you are right in the middle of Atlantic, there is no one who can reach you if you have a problem. So you guys are on your own. Having some good connect with the upper higher being is important, I think. But having said that, I think when I have seen the storms in the middle, tropical hurricane category 4 storms, as they call them in US, they are nasty. We are talking about wind speeds of 150 miles per hour, with the seas, swelling up to 60 feet, 70 feet on the ocean waves, and you could be a 300-meter long, massive iron vessel, but you feel like a paper boat in
Wow.
the middle of Atlantic, going through all that. So I think that experience and having the trust on the people around you, onto the ship which you are riding on, and crossing the Atlantic, I think that really builds up you as experience overall. So there has been lovely experiences and various storms. I mean, this is one of them I mentioned. There is passing through storms is part of the career, and you do it all the time.
So as a CIO, you're passing through digital storms, right?
Fair.
And as a CIO, I would say that you're also leading a team that has to think on its feet. You've got a cybersecurity team, you've got a technology team, you have an infrastructure team, you've got a data team. There's so many teams in there. Um, would you say that your career as a commercial shipping captain helped shape some of the methods or decisions that you have made as a CIO?
I would say, I think the kind of holistic professional grooming you get by doing different things, those are transferable skills. And once you understand those kind of rigors, bringing in the technology part, which of course have its own technical details about how do you go about cybersecurity or digital transformation, you got to know those details. You need to be a person who's ready to roll up the sleeves and get to understand them better. Because when you are doing the transformation, connecting to the board and the executive committees and to the teams and the business is equally important. And as a CIO, you are the most critical, important bridge between the business people and the board and getting the buy in from both sides. So I think this role does come in handy. But of course, the skills, what you gather in your various professional experiences, it really shapes you up to do the job what you have in hand.
Interesting. So, Gaurav, you're one of the, uh, I would say, upcoming trend of CIOs and, shall I say, C-suite leaders that actually got certified as a certified Chief Information Security Officer. Why did you take that certification, and what was the journey like, and how did it help you?
See, as I said, I think whenever you transition and do your whatever roles you are into as a C-level, management, what I really endeavor all the time is to look in the details and understand the structured ways of doing things to make sure I understand it not just at a very high level, but also to a depth which is required to make sure I take the right decisions. So, cybersecurity to me, I think it has been very close to my heart all these years, to be honest. And it was a natural progression for me to get into something like a CISO, which was a structured senior level strategic mindset on managing cybersecurity. So that kind of adventurer learner person in me kicks in at times, and then decided let me go for the CISO, go through not just the course and the book, but get certified because I really want to prove that as I understand is well understood the way the accreditation is. So I went ahead and did that for that very reason. That enables me, broadens my horizon as a leader on IT and cybersecurity, ensures I understand and keep a tap on things what's happening in the world and what is really the structured way on the cybersecurity to manage those things.
So, what happened in the office after you got certified? I mean, how were you looked at by your bosses, by your peers, by your boards? Did you get more attention? Did people
Interesting.
respect you more? I mean, share with us some of the inside scoops of what was life like.
To be honest, in the IT world and especially in the cybersecurity world, um, the lens is still changing. People still see, cybersecurity. It's probably somebody in the IT who's looking into it. So to be very honest with you, I didn't announce it with a big bang and a lot of marketing. I did mention team. I wanted to do a cybersecurity certification for companies, goodwill and betterment, and for myself. And I have done it, and I will add value to it, which was appreciated, but not that I had a standing ovation or anything close to that. But having said that, I think um, the board does appreciate because what I'm seeing in last few years is the board does realize that cybersecurity is not just a IT department's job. It's not a single person you hire and he or she will do it. It's a collective decision. It's got to be proactive, not reactive. Cybersecurity, you got to have awareness across the organization, right from the lowest level of person who's doing whatever job, right up to the board level. Because one weakest link in the whole chain can bring down your whole cybersecurity. So I think that change is coming, and the board is realizing more and more that how important it is for the health of the organization overall.
Thank you. So let's talk about the chain that can actually, uh, break, make or break things. Right. Let's talk about cyber threat landscape for a second. We've heard about ransomware, and the common cybersecurity professional would hear that yeah, ransomware is happening. Small and medium businesses are a target. Phishing and spear phishing are some of the attack vectors that are being used for successful ransomware. Take me through a port infrastructure. Is ransomware really something you were worried about? Was that something that was top of your mind? That what happens if we get hit by ransomware and the port shuts down?
So So, Sanjay, all these various things you mentioned, these are the various ways a cyber hacker wants for the motivations they have. And there are multiple motivations why people do it. And organizations or state actors or non-state actors do it. Um, all these are the mediums of creating a cyber crisis, if I were to say in a general term. All this is a concern for a port industry or any other industry. What really, in addition to what for the ports is, we have all the IT and we have the OT part as well. And what we really need to make sure that take in all those proactive measures, risk mitigation approach, user-centric approach, a cybersecurity culture across the organization to make sure we are resilient, not just in a point in time, but all the time, 24/7, 365. And that is a cultural mind shift change as we speak. So things like ransomware or whatever new comes up, via phishing or video phishing and whatever you have, those are all the concerns any organization has, including a port. What really we need to take care is what are the possible scenarios, what is the risk it brings to the business, and how do we mitigate it to acceptable level. We are fully aware that we cannot make the risk zero, and we don't need to, by the way. In an endeavor to make risk zero, you are talking about infinity as your budget for cybersecurity, which isn't the case. Budgets are finite. You really need to look at what are your major risks and what is your organization's appetite of risk. How much risk is okay risk? Once you have that figured out, then a regular scenario checking and risk mitigation approach on cybersecurity, I believe, is a better way to go rather than saying zero risk.
So you mentioned OT, operational technology, but lately we've been seeing a convergence between IT and OT. There used to be a time when operational technology or SCADA systems were the systems that are protected, that actually managed, large communication systems, water systems, ports, electricity generation. But now we are seeing a convergence. IT and OT, the lines are getting blurred, and therefore the risks that we see in IT are beginning to infiltrate into an OT environment. Would you say that over the last couple of years you are seeing this happen more and more? Um,
Fair. I think that's a good point. I think I am seeing this transition happening where OT was air gapped and almost left as an orphan child in the cybersecurity world to be looked into, and the spotlight wouldn't be so much on OT but more on IT. But having said that, I think there is a realization which I, as a leader and across my organization, I bring in to the rest of the teams, is OT is getting more and more mainstream. It is getting more and more connected. We need to have strategies. What are we doing to assess the risk which come up? It's not about reacting and, I don't know, putting 10 new tools and you buy 20 other tools and have everything a nice complex architecture, but it's more about assessing first, as I mentioned earlier, what is the risk we are up against? How connected are we, the OT world to the internet, for example? And what does it potentially put us out there in the market for public to view and see, and then go there. So I think my initial will be OT definitely is getting more and more consolidated with the IT and does need a bit more focus and space to look in. But having said that, I think rather than jumping into and taking lots of technology to start safeguarding, assessment what really it's up to, discovering, by the way, discovering OT assets is one of the first things even before assessment. Many times I've seen organizations do not realize because it has been, as I said, left a bit. It's air gapped, it's safe. That approach to say how many OT points do we have? Having a good proper discovery. If you do not have a proper inventory, doing
what's
that.
an OT point?
OT point will be anything which is connecting, let's say, your PLC SCADA systems to, let's say, offline server, electronic system. which can be got into and hacked into, and then you are into that asset. So those kind of OT points in the SCADA systems, being aware how many they are, is a, the inventory, the very inventory to start with,
Asset discovery
as
is
in discovery.
asset discovery is a
Oh,
major point.
exactly. Having that OT discovery and then assessing what all needs to be done, what versions they are, how obsolete they are, because many times these could be versions which you cannot patch them to the latest security levels. So you need to have a decision that if that's the case, are you doing some controlling measures to manage it, or when could you retire it, decommission it, and get the latest equipment and the OT solutions which can be updated with the latest security
What about
solutions.
IoT? Are you seeing IoT endpoints being integrated into OT systems now, especially with the convergence of 5G? We're getting to 5G, right? Which is 10 gigabits per second. We're moving to 6G, which is 1 terabit per
Yep.
second. The innovations in technology is massive. Are you seeing with a critical national infrastructure like the one you used to manage? Are you seeing more and more IoT devices being added as part of a OT infrastructure?
Absolutely. You see, as a digital transformation strategy as well, the organizations cannot, keep a close eye on IoT and the benefits what it brings to business, the better predictions what you could do, coupling it with the AI solution. So all this is actually, to me, the whole ecosystems, whether it's IT, OT, the IoT, this whole ecosystem is moving in unison to the next steps. And once you are aware that all this is connected, as a leader, understanding and making sure what are the loopholes it brings into your cybersecurity domain is critical, and then going ahead and plugging them, as and where required.
So let's talk a little bit about port operations, right? I mean, to a lay person, if a financial institution gets compromised, we're like, oh wow, that's terrible because you're having billions of dollars being impacted. To a lay person, if a national defense gets compromised, we're like, oh my God, right? That's terrible. A nation can be attacked. But if a port gets attacked or port gets some downtime, so what? I mean, I might I might be guilty of saying that if I get a container that's supposed to be offloaded today from the ship, do it tomorrow.
Well,
So by that, Gaurav, what your life would have been a walk in the park, unlike everybody else. So tell us a little bit about why does port security really matter?
so Sanjay, very important point. Defense and other things you mentioned are well highlighted, closer to people. The supply chain and this very complex global supply chain what we are dealing with, and ports are right the central part of it. The society sometimes, just to say, doesn't realize that when you go to your H&Ms and the Zaras and to your Apples what you pick up, they are all being shipped via a container or by a shipping line from A to B or elsewhere. Now, having said that, I mean, if it's what happens really in the port industry is your the space what you have is all limited. The number of ships are coming in, they all have a schedule. If your port is shut down, unplanned downtime, even for 20 minutes, half an hour, it's a big deal for the port and the whole supply chain, to the shipping companies, to the freight forwarders, to the hauliers we are connected. But besides that, imagine if your system is down because of whatever reason, because of all the export import cargo which is happening through these large massive trucks you would have seen, by the rail heads where the train comes in to the train, and connect the containers to the rest of the country. Everything comes to a grinding halt, complete grinding halt. And when you have ports closer to the city, in matter of minutes, or you know you would have miles of trucks and trailers lined up, choking up the city roads. It's not just about these operational day to day, but it's also about the contractual service level agreements what the port has with various shipping lines. You come into direct issues with them. So it is, we in the shipping industry and the ports and maritime, sometimes we are, the back actors playing in the world and ensuring, The city runs perfect, where people get what they need, whether it is their food supplies, whether their clothings, whether their DIYs, and you have it all. But it's all in the background, and people do not realize the importance of how, if 10 minutes you get the port down. Besides that, I mean, the commercial impact to the whole this cycle and to the port itself, it's humongous. We are talking about tens and thousands of boxing being transacted from water to the yard and back, and all that stops. Your connection to the next ship stops, the transshipment boxes. It is, I mean, just to say in a very broad sense, it is massive. And I think it is something to be experienced firsthand when you are actually in the industry.
Oh my God. I never, I could not fathom the idea that it'll be that um, interconnected. But you're right. Losing the time because of downtime, you're unable to load. Your hauliers are lining up, choking the city. You've got SLA contracts, financial impact. You've got supply chain misses. You've got ships that you're supposed to. I mean, I've missed flights. Now you're going to miss a ship, and your next shipment might be, I don't know, a month later, 2 months later,
True.
and that might be a key component into a supply chain somewhere else. Uh, that's uh, that's a high stress job, Gaurav. I'm glad you still have some hair on.
Well, most of it is gone, and then thanks to my sailing times and being in the sea level. But no, I think jokes apart, yeah, it is, and that's what it is to run a port 24/7, 365, day in day out.
So let's talk about some incident response lessons that you have learned in industry without naming any specific organization incident, right? Uh, can you share with us any real life experience that you've had, right, where you were in the thick of it? Take us through what does it feel like,
Mm.
right? How do you breathe? How do you think? How do you sweat? Take us in
Yeah, yeah.
into being in the middle of this, just like how you're a shipping captain in the middle of a hurricane category 4. Take us into a hurricane category 4 cyber incident.
Well, cyber tend to be straight away hurricane category 5, more than really 4. What really happens in cyber is there could be minor things, certain attempts being made to your firewall literally every day. There could be things happening. That's your hygiene. How do you maintain and upkeep your guards internally, externally, at every point, to make sure you are safe and sound. Talking about incidents, if they are significant and larger scale, that's when your complete thought process, your nerves play on your nerves, thinking right despite the pressure around you is critical, I think, as a leader. And that to me applies to any role, but more so in an operational role, when there are things dependent on you digitally, and then people, you're part of the team delivering the solution as a port. You got to be really thinking on your feet. You really need to think, besides the noise, what's happening around you. Have your procedures pre-trained and pre-drilled well before, not when the cyber crisis happen. All the preparation you do before the crisis happens, when the life is good, it's blue skies and sunshine. That is the time what prepares you when the crisis hits. How well you are prepared, your playbook of crisis, how well you have prepared your senior leadership, that if this happens, this is what your role to play. What is the role of each individual team, be it IT or legal or corporate communications, the C level. Preparing them before the crisis hit is super important. Having your backups in place and tested those backups, not just once in 5 years, but knowing that that backup will work when you need it, is super critical. So I think, like in any sport, if I were to say, how much practice you do before the match, and in this match is the cybersecurity crisis, that is what's going to take you across when things go wrong.
The more you sweat in peacetime, the less you bleed in war, as they say.
Well said.
Right? So that's fantastic. What about managing your board? I bet as a CIO, you're calling to board meetings regularly. Is cyber a board consideration now? And is it, I remember one CISO once told me, it says, Jay, during a peacetime or ask for a budget, and the company always has a budget constraint. They don't have the money. There are other priorities that are competing. But the moment you get a cyber incident, you have unlimited budget. Just make it go away. So, can you share with us a little bit? What was your experience in your entire journey, right, to being a CIO? How is budget being managed? Because you'll be talking in very technical terms to the CFO and saying, I need to get an IR system, I need to get a ASM, I need to get a CTAM, and CFO is like, what? What is
Yeah,
that all about?
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what not to do. You go him and says, I want a EDR, I want a XDR, and I need a next generation firewall. If you talk to anybody in the business, be it board, be it CFO, CEOs, you would be losing them in 2 seconds. When I say 2 seconds, I literally mean 2 seconds. They will have no clue what you're talking about. I think as a leader of tech and cyber world, what every leader should do is endeavor to understand what really is business looking for. What are their main considerations? What are their main focus on? And how do you bring in as a tech leader in non-tech terms what it really means to business and not to technology?
Give us an example.
Um, for example, if you want to get a EDR as they call it, endpoint detection and response. Now you go to the board or anybody right in business to say, I want a EDR solution because it's in the top Gartner square, and I think this is the right thing to do. You would be losing them. You really need to come across what are the risks cyber is bringing, what are the current risks, what others have gone through in the industry, what were the findings, how could you mitigate such findings to happen to you before they happen, and bring in by doing so what you are doing is, for example, EDR, I taken as an example, how the technology advancement in it, the AI component in it, will help you proactively manage the things and reduce the impact the surface by having that in place. It is a cost, but don't see it as a cost. See it as an investment in your organization to increase the cyber resilience. Cybersecurity shouldn't be termed as a cost center. It should be how it is adding value to business. And that mind shift as a senior leader, you want to make bringing your pitch to the C level
Do you get
across.
challenged in board
Oh,
when you guys
yes,
say this?
all the time.
But how can that be possible? Most board members, I'm not trying to generalize, but many board members don't understand EDR, XDR, ASM, or whatever you're talking about. So how do you get challenged?
Exactly. So I think you not to bring in from their perspective that, gentlemen and ladies, this is what is the risk out there. And we could close eyes like a pigeon and say the cat isn't there, but it is there. You could do whatever you want. So as a part of the tech team and as part of the leader for the organization who thinks the continuity of the organization is super important, these are the investments in technology and cybersecurity which must be done, and we are aware of the cost what it brings. We are not asking, as I said at the start, it's not about having zero risks, so bring in 50 technology solutions. No, you got to have a strategy what all you want to bring in from people, process, and technologies. Have a game plan, have a strategy beforehand, that in people I want these changes, processes I want this, these are the standards and operating procedures, and when this all is there, these are the risks, and this is the technology which is required. It shouldn't be the very first thing is latest technology in the market, I want it because it's there and Gartner says, or well, I'm saying Forrester, Gartner, and you. So it's about seeing that you have done your homework, you have prepared well, and you have a strategy why all this, what other things are prepared before asking for the budget, and saying that despite all this, the organization, it's not just IT, the business organization is open to this risk, which must be mitigated. And once you have that confidence and the board trusts you, more often than not, I've seen, you get the buy-in where people do understand that, when you have done this much of strategy and homework, that it's not about just finding the most fanciest of item which came out yesterday, but about doing your homework and then going asking for the right reasons. More often than not, it works.
So earlier you mentioned, right, the more you, metaphorically speaking, the more you sweat in peacetime, the less you bleed in war. Have you ever trained or provided briefings to the board about cyber hygiene, about cyber awareness, about cyber security? Either you or the CISO of your organization as a
Right. No, I think I do come into such meetings, despite I have a cyber lead across. They do want on the C level to come in across. So yes, I have done that, and lucky to say, typically the few boards I have seen, once you have done your things well and you are going from the business angle, I think Sanjay, I would like to reiterate, it's about business. It's not about that server which is will go down, or you're trying to say that internet will go down or that application. It's about the business impact if that were to happen. Bringing that part of the line more visible to business and understood by business is the game changer.
fantastic. So earlier you mentioned about people, and you talked about the importance of people. Now, EC Council, as you know, has been a leading authority in building people. My entire career has been all about skill upliftment and development with a certified ethical hacker and various other certifications. Now with certified CISO, AI is beginning to shift a lot of, I would say, shift and challenge the cybersecurity profession, right,
Hmm.
to do better,
Hmm.
because AI is able to do a lot of the rudimentary things. So
Right.
we, the cybersecurity professionals, will have to uplift, right? As a CIO in your organization, how did you deal with certifying your professionals? For example, I'm sure you have ethical hackers on board. You might have incident responders on board, right? Because retention of talent is a major challenge most CIO
Hmm.
face. And research shows that people don't stay in an organization just because of the amount of compensation they get, but it's about the culture, it's about
Hmm.
having a learning opportunity. So how did you inculcate learning in your talent retention strategy and embed it as part of a culture of your organization?
See, I think training, and especially in the digitalization cyber world, it is so dynamic, Sanjay, as you know. It is changing literally as we speak every few months. You need to keep a tap on those things. You may not need to go for every training out there possible for your people, but what really you need to do is motivate, encourage people that training will upskill you. You have it is something for you which you will cherish as a professional, and you bring in that knowledge and you help the organization, because that's what is job satisfaction all about. Getting trained, getting upskilled, aware of what's happening out there, and applying that knowledge back into your business is the whole game of this training and organization support. And that's why business and organizations have these training schedules, be it IT, cyber, or anything else. There are multitudes of training across the organization, right? So I think this is very important to bring up to your organization, which many times I see the HR normally realizes and the organization board do realize. I think what you really need to make sure is bring it up, have that awareness that the IT cybersecurity training must be there, because it's awareness across the organization. So for the IT folks and the cyber folks, it's all about the technical trainings, and maybe for the rest, cyber awareness trainings, which is non-technical in nature, bringing up their awareness how you could be hacked, whether at work or at your home. And I think that kind of awareness is important. As I said, do not be the weakest link in the organization or in your personal life where you get hacked and you're not aware what's out there. You see, you can't run away from digitalization, from your mobile apps, from your mobile banking, so and so forth. Adopting it, knowing its do's and don'ts, and being aware is the name of the game, Sanjay. And this world is all with the advent of AI, with all these day to day tasks being taken over by AI. I think it's imperative for anybody to kind of have a grasp of it, at least at a broad level, and use it to your own benefit.
How important is hands-on? The latest trend going in the world now is to run cyber drills, is to have the technical people do cyber competitions, to do hands-on labs as part of the certification program. And that's why you see in Certified Ethical Hacker version 13, we added a whole AI component. We launched CH practical exam, making all of our professionals go through hands-on certification
Hmm.
from a consumer, right? Because you're the consumer of the training that we create. How do you see the importance of programs like ours that are very, very hands-on? How beneficial do you find them?
I think absolutely anything which is hands-on and workshop driven, with the theoretical knowledge and built into with hands-on workshops, as you mentioned, is super important, because that's where you are training your muscles. You are learning something where which you can apply back in work. So I think whenever it's a hands-on ethical hacker with AI features built in, you are literally learning the latest in the market out there, which is all transferable to your day-to-day job. So I think this training aspect, and which is more aligned to day-to-day business needs, is very important, Sanjay. I think uh, that's a easy one, actually. Got to do it, basically.
Gaurav, I must say that if you look at your career, one word comes to my mind that's called excellence, right? You were born and raised in India, or shall I say you were raised on a ship, right? You became a shipping captain of a commercial ship. It's not like a boat, right? This is a
Right.
ship. Uh, Flew into hurricanes. That so the highest position you could have attained is a captain, and you've been a captain. Jumped over to IT, took on a new challenge. The highest position imaginable is to be a CIO. Became a CIO, and now you've been headhunted to a different country altogether, and you're moving for yet another excellent chapter in your life. If I were to reverse time and ask you to give an advice to your younger self, or to the aspiring cybersecurity professionals who are listening on right now, what would your advice be for them to either succeed like you or to overachieve what you have done?
Thanks for the kind words, Sanjay. First of all, I mean, I think we all in a journey, and I am so myself. I think few things which come out to my mind, which stand out and will help anybody who is trying to achieve something in their careers is, um, stay hungry, have that learner's attitude, always believe there is more to learn out there. Do not settle on just knowing what you know, but keep growing your knowledge base, and just put in your genuine good work and hard work. I mean, it's really no special sauce, to be honest. Just being true to yourself, doing the right things, and staying hungry for knowledge, and bringing value to the organization where you work. I think you just follow these various things. I typically feel they help in the long run to achieve what you want to in the for any aspiring person to be a leader.
Thank you, Gaurav. Prior to this conversation, I'm sure many of our active listeners would have thought ports as physical spaces. And I think through this conversation with you, we have learned that it's not a physical space alone. It's actually a very, very digital space that is open to lots of risks. And we've really enjoyed, the opportunity of being able to interview you, Gaurav. Thank you very much on behalf of the entire EC Council team and the EC Council Cybersecurity Podcast team. Would like to wish you the very best in your next endeavor.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. It's been a pleasure knowing you and Easy Council and having me here. I think I enjoyed myself. A wonderful conversation with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay.
To those of you listening, that was Gaurav Sharma, the CIO of one of Malaysia's most preeminent ports, a industry captain of a commercial ship liner, been through Hurricane 4, and then dealt with Hurricane 5 in the digital world. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and if you did, do not forget to like and subscribe. Till I see you the next episode, thank you. That's me checking out.